Um, Hi everybody. Good morning. Um, this is our first Javascript class, and we're having the class today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Hopefully, within these 3 days, I will make us comfortable to some extent, and we'll use JavaScript to build some front-end projects, most likely next week. But within these first 3 days, we'll try as much as possible to make ourselves comfortable with JavaScript. So first off, what is JavaScript? From our little talk back then when we did introduction to programming, we talked about HTML, CSS, and what JavaScript is. And if anybody can remember, can anybody just give me like what they know or what they think JavaScript is? Anybody? Let's make this class interactive. At least we're not doing code now, so you can most likely just talk. Anybody? What JavaScript is? Chidima, do you want to say something?
Hello.
Yeah, I mean,
Hello. Okay,
yeah,
yes.
Debbie.
Okay. From my understanding, JavaScript helps in functionality of the website that you are
Perfect.
building.
Perfect. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. JavaScript, its functionality. Does anybody have any other perspective? Anybody? Okay. So basically, JavaScript is a programming language. It's widely used for web development. It aids for front end and also back end. You can use it for Node.js for the back end to provide endpoints. But we're dealing with front end, so I'll explain everything as that. So JavaScript makes the website interactive, add functionality to the website, makes a website versatile. You can do so many things using JavaScript. And they have peculiar syntax. Syntax are like signs and variables and way you do things in JavaScript. Let me like into, into. So um JavaScript layman terms just add functionalities and interactivity to websites. And there are different versions of JavaScript. JavaScript has evolved through times. It's came down from ES1. So ES1, ES basically means ECMAScript. So this is the first standard of JavaScript and the first version of JavaScript. It was released in 1997, I think. And they started out with some functionalities like the variable, the loops, the conditionals, the functions. I'll explain all these things further on. Then they evolved in ES2 as ECMAScript 2. This was released in 1998, and there was major updates, major improvements to JavaScript. They added the try and catch and error handling. Then they evolved in 1999 to ES3, that's ECMAScript 3. They also added features like the regular expression. They also improved the error handling mechanism. Then it evolved down to yes, ECMAScript 4, ECMAScript 5, ECMAScript 6. Currently now, the one like we are using that is versatile now is the ES 2022. That is the ECMAScript 2022. So most of the times, every 2 years, 3 years, there's a major update to JavaScript. They improve certain things, they add certain features to it that makes it evolve and improve basically. Do you understand? So currently you are using ES 2022. This is ECMAScript 2022, and there are a lot of provisions they made for us and features added that makes JavaScript very, very easy for us to use. Do you understand? If there's any questions to this so far, kindly pop it in the chat section now. Explain it to you. The next thing I would explain to us is how to run JavaScript. Now, there are several ways to run JavaScript, or three major ways to run JavaScript. I'll put it like that. You can run JavaScript in your browsers. You can use an IDE to run it, as your VS Code, your WebStorm, your Atom, whatnot. You can use those to run JavaScript, and you can also run JavaScript in your terminal. I'll illustrate these three basic ways to us. So the first way, let's try to use our browser. If you're on Chrome, you're on Firefox, you're on Safari, whatnot, you can open your developers tools. So you can go on inspect, or you click the F12 key. I explained this to us last time. You can click the F12 key, which is this here. So these are our consoles. Let me clear the console now. So this basically is what they call the console. And every browser has console. This is like a very important tool as front-end developers because you can use this for debugging. You can use this to know what's happening on your website. So for instance, now let's run a JavaScript code. Let's say console.log, and let's see hello. So if I click the enter button, you all see hello being popped up. So this console.log is a JavaScript function. You can log variables to your console. You can log many things, and it's a great way to debug your code. If there's something happening and you don't know why it's happening or how it's happening, you can use the console.log. So let's try another one. Let's say 1 plus 2. If you pop enter, you can see 3 comes out. If you say 3 times 4, press enter, you can see 12 pops out. So you can run JavaScript code here, basically on your console. The second way to run JavaScript code now is using your IDE. For the sake of this course, why I did this, and I would appreciate it. Please kindly miss your mic. So I've explained how to use the browser to run JavaScript. The next step in run JavaScript, or the next way to run JavaScript, is using your IDE. If you're using like VS Code, WebStorm, whatever you're using, I'll explain to you. So let's for this class, I have a folder named JavaScript class. You can also make a folder, and if you don't know how to, I'll quickly illustrate it here. So this is what my desktop looks like. I have a folder called workspace. So you can create a folder basically called workspace. Then if you open your folder, I have other folder relating to tech. But I have one called Zoom here, and I have this JavaScript class. So you can create this JavaScript class, then open with your VS Code, your WebStorm, your whatnot. So I've done this already, and this is what I have, or this is what it looks like on VS Code. So the first step now is creating a folder. This is our first class. So I'll say 001. I'll make these classes available to us on GitHub, so you can check for everything we've done or we are doing in the next 3 days. You can reference to it, use it to solve assignments. So I'm going to teach us how to use JavaScript with our IDE. So I have a folder here. This folder is called 001. That's our first class. In this folder, I'll create a JavaScript file. So let's call the file. There are two major, not major, but what you see most of the times is app.js, script.js. If you look at most JavaScript or web front-end websites, the file structure or the file name usually you just name it app.js or script.js. So this is like where all the logic comes on, all the brain work comes on. It's not a prerequisite or it's not tantamount that you name it like this, but just for conventional sake and for it to be more readable, most of the times you likely name your JavaScript file either app.js or script.js, whichever feels more comfortable for you, you do. But for the sake of this tutorial, we are going to name it app.js. So we have our JavaScript file now. So everything we are going to do that concerns JavaScript happens here. You can also do JavaScript in your HTML file, but for separation sake and for it to be more readable, it's most advised, like you advise best to use the JavaScript file. To make it interact with the browser, we are going to open our HTML file. So we'll say index.html. So with index.html now, we'll connect our JavaScript file to our HTML. So we have that interactivity with the browser, because if you are doing it with only your your app.js, then you can always your terminal, which I'll explain as the third way to run JavaScript file. But since we are using our IDE and we want to make it interactive with our content app, I'll just quickly illustrate it. So if you have your index.html file, you can just press the exclamation mark to give a boilerplate. I'm sure you guys know about this from HTML classes. So once you get your boilerplate, there are two ways to connect your JavaScript file. So the first way, they'll ask you to put a script tag in the last place of your body, like just above your closing tag, put a script tag, then route your app.js. So if you do this, you've automatically connected your JS file to your JavaScript file, your JavaScript file to your HTML. So I'll run this now and let's test. Open live server. Okay, now, so these are our HTML file. So let's try what we did initially. So we did a console.log. So let's see console.log. Hello. Now let's check our console. So you can use F12 to pop up your console. If you press F12, then your console will come on. So let's see. We have our hello here. If you notice, there's this hello up here. This like a way to connect your HTML file, your JavaScript file. But my favorite and the one I use the most, I usually include it in the head, but there's a perk for it. So now I'm including it in the head and I'm routing it. But if you notice now, let me save and let's go back to our browser. Let me clear this and let me refresh. It still comes on. You still have your hello here. But conventionally, for what's best practice, because in some situations, the head does not read it like almost immediately. Do you understand? Because it runs from top to bottom. And since the head basically concerns itself with the engine of the browser, what you need to do is to add the file here. So the file basically means that, okay, as I run this code, make sure you're adding this JavaScript to it as you're running it. Do you understand? So if you're including it to your head, make sure you add this defer key here. So this defer as a props make it possible for the browser to read your HTML file accordingly. So there are two ways to it. Either you add it to your body as the last, like above the last, the closing tag of your body. If you are doing that, you don't need to add this defer. But if you are putting it up on your head of your HTML file, then it's most advisable add your defer. So let's go on and do some more JavaScript. So let's say 1 plus 2, then let's save and see. Let's console.log 1 plus 3, because it will show like this. We are trying to just do that and there's no output for it. So let's do 1 plus 3 and let's go back and check. So we have 4 here, if you notice. So this is the second way to run JavaScript file. The first way is running it in your console here. So we can say 1 plus 3 and we get the 4. Then we can also do this with our VS Code or IDE. Now, the third way to run JavaScript file basically is to use the terminal. And I'll illustrate this. Let me move this up. Let me move this up here. Yes. So I'll illustrate it. And first off, before you do this, you must have installed Node.js, because Node.js is what prompts the terminal to run JavaScript code. Do you understand? So I'll open our terminal now. You can open your terminal. You can come to if you're using VS Code, you can just come to terminal. There's a terminal key in your VS Code. You can see it here, terminal. Then if you click on it, there's a new terminal. You can copy it open. But the shortcut is using the control and backtick. So the backtick key is just below your escape key. If you look below your escape key, there's a backtick. If you hold control and backtick, it opens up your terminal. Do you understand? So to run JavaScript code with our terminal, first off, you have to navigate to this file. And to navigate to this file, I'm sure you already did this in your Git class. Just use CD01. So this CD01 now, we are in our first folder here. So you can use ls to list out the two files. So the two files we have here is app.js and index.html. So now I want to read the content of app.js. What we do, just say node app.js. Then if you check, you can see 4 on our terminal. And 4 is coming from this our console here, console.log 1 plus 3. So let's change it to plus 5 again. Then let's run. So we'll come back here and say note that if you know this, you notice that you're having 9. So 1 plus 3 plus 5 is equal to 9. So far, so good. I've explained 3 ways to run JavaScript file. If there's any questions so far, kindly unmute your mic and ask. If there isn't, then I'll have to move on to the next chapter. I'm working with time, so I'll have to go fast. Any questions? Any questions? No questions. Okay, so much time to speak.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi. Can you hear
Good
me?
morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Can you go over the console?
Can I go over the what?
Can you
Come
yes,
again.
please, can you go over the console?
Can you chat it? Can you type it out in the chat? Because I can't really hear you. Just type it out in the chat now. Mhm.
I have a question.
Yes, shoot.
Does it mean that when you are putting 1 plus 3, 1 plus, does it mean that if you want your calculator to be functional, you have to put all the numbers, like multiply times then, so that your JavaScript can copy it? You get my question?
No, I don't.
Okay. You want to
Coming
build a
from
calculator, and you
you,
want all the numbers to be functional, all the multiplication, plus, and so on. Does it mean that in your JavaScript code, you have to multiply the numbers individually, like add 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, so that your buttons will be functional at the end of the day?
okay, so as regards the JavaScript questions, yeah. Well, I'll give you like an overview of what you need to do. Do you understand? So you can collect numbers from a HTML file. Okay. So collecting numbers now, for instance, if 1 is pressed, you collect the value of 1. If 2 is pressed, you collect the value of 2. If 1 and 2 is pressed simultaneously, you can collect it as 12. Now, if you are doing this, there's a particular function that helps you collect your number. Do you understand? But if once the user clicks on maybe add, minus, multiply, divide, anything, it's also collected. Then you place it, would I say, it depends on how you arrange your function because there are many ways to approach this. So for instance, now, the user press 12. Let's assume these numbers are what the user enter from the calculator. So the user press 1, then he press plus, then he press 3, he press plus, then he press 5, he press maybe plus, let's say plus 10 again. Do you understand? Now, this particular summation, you can evaluate it or you can make it in a way that for every time the user clicks on a particular operator, be it the plus, the minus, the divide, there's a particular action that enables them add or subtract the numbers imputed. Do you understand? I won't go much because we still go deeper into this, but I don't want to sway us away. But just to give you an overview, once you collect the numbers from the client side or from the browser or from the user, there's a function you run that brings all these numbers together, including their operators. Then you can perform whatever action that is needed. Do you understand?
Okay.
Right. So I can't go over the class again. I apologize because we
Thank
are
you.
like yes, no problem, you're welcome. We're like 20 minutes in, but you can kindly just watch it from YouTube. Do you understand? So basically so let's go on to the next point of our agenda. There's like a syllabus that was published. I don't know if you guys have it, but the first item that we treated is introduction to JavaScript. And we talked about what JavaScript is. We also talked about the versions of JavaScript and how to um, run JavaScript. So moving forward, the next item on our syllabus is about variables. So variables are like name holders, function holders. So if you have a variable, or the most simplest way I can put it is like you are giving something to hold for you. Do you understand? For instance, now we have 10 apples. In that 10 apples, we also have a place that will need 9 apples. But we can't collectively add everything and join them together. So we have to keep them in separate places. Do you understand? But if you are referencing it, you don't want to reference the 10 apple, then the 9 apple and the 8 apple. To make your code very, very bulky. What we can do is to make something hold it for us. Do you understand? So variables in layman terms are just like holders. They hold functions, they hold names, they hold strings, they hold everything you can think of. So I would explain how to declare a variable. So the first way to declare variable, and this way is very, very old, and I'll explain to you why we no longer use it, is the var. So var keyword is used to hold variable. So I'll say, let's say var name is equals to let me put a random name Abimbola. That's the first thing that popped up here. So I'll be using Abimbola. So let's say name Abimbola. Abimbola. Yes, I'm correct. So now what we've done is that we've assigned Abimbola to name. So anywhere we want to use Abimbola, instead of typing out Abimbola outrightly, we just say name. So I'll prove that now. Let's say console log. Let's console log name. So if we come out now, ordinarily, you might expect to see like NAME on the console, which will not work. What we'll see basically is Abimbola. And let's check. So yes, we can see Abimbola here on the console. Do you understand? So var is like a keyword used to hold something. So you're holding Abimbola with name. So you can come again and say, let's say var car, and let's use like an Audi. Now if I come here and say, okay, comma car, what we'll see now is we'll see Abimbola and Audi. What I've done basically, I've assigned Audi to car and I've assigned Abimbola to me. So anywhere in our code, maybe we've written like 100 lines of code, and most likely we don't remember what or the person's name we're writing the code for. Instead of scrolling up to go and start finding Abimbola, we can just use name. So name post Abimbola. Anywhere you want to use Abimbola, just type in name to come out. If you check the console now, we can see, let's refresh. You can see Abimbola and Audi. These errors are from my extension, so just kindly ignore. But we can see Abimbola and Audi. So variables are more like folders. Now there are 3 types of variables. We have the lets. Now we've talked about var, and I'll explain to you why var is not advisable to be using in JavaScript. We have the lets. Now the let keyword is more stricter. Let's say let age equals 20. It does the same thing. If you console the log age, what you get ordinarily is still that same 20. So I'll comment this one out so it doesn't interfere. So if I come here and check, we'll see that we have 20 here. So I've assigned age. I've assigned 20 to the age. So anywhere we want to use 20, we just input age. The next one is const. Const also does the same thing. You can say const fruits, and let's say it's equals to apple. I'll console this one out, then I'll say, okay, console log fruits Same behavior. If you check your console, what you have is, let's refresh. If you notice, what we have is Apple. Now, the most used one is the const. I'll explain this why. First off, let's start from variable now. So note, we have variable name Abimbola. I can come here and say var name again. Now I'll
Hello,
type this.
Abdul. Can you zoom in your screen a bit?
Issue. Is it better now? Is it better now?
Yes, yes, better now.
Yeah. So I can come and say name, and I'll say, okay, let me just pop again. Let me check randomly. Let me use Adama, and I'll say name Adama. 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 Am I correct? Yes, I'm correct. So let me say name not Adama. But note, it's quite unfair that we have two names in our code base. What for instance now is Abibola we want to use and it's Adama we are seeing, or want to use Adama and seeing Abimbola. And can anybody just pop in now and tell me if we console log name, what do we get? Can anybody just tell me what you think the answer will be? If I console log name now, what do you think the answer will be? Anybody? Anybody?
Be Adama.
Adama.
Beautiful. And can anybody tell me why?
Because
When you put Adama,
the
place
position and JavaScript runs from top to bottom.
Okay, thank you. Beautiful. That's
Because
just
that was the variable you declare last.
nice.
So you
Nice. So basically, JavaScript files run from top to bottom. And what you declare last is what comes in first if you are console.login. So if you check our console now, we're going to see Adama. And solely because Adama is the one closest to the console.login, put it that way. If I shift, let's check, let's confirm it. So if I check now, I'm seeing Adama in my console. And if I move Adama up and I put Abimbola down, I would see Abimbola on my console. But ordinarily, this is not fair because we're not supposed to have two names. It can cause a lot of issues. Because imagine you named something, and along the line you forgot. And you want to use that value you named, but you named it again on that value. You might get confused along the line. So that's one of the reasons, or majorly, you don't use var, because var is a weak holder. You can manipulate it anyhow you like. And with that, it does not have strictness. So it's practically impossible to write a clean code using var. So they mostly advise to use let or const. Now, let or const are almost similar, but very different. And I explained that. So I would cancel out this one, comment it out. Then I'll do the same thing for you. Let's say let age equals 30 or 40. If you notice now, there's like a red line and there's like an error coming up saying cannot redeclare plus code variable age. And you know why this is? Because you can't have the same variable twice. And this is the perfect way it's supposed to be because imagine I have two different age on my code base. Then which is which? If I want to use 20, I'll use 40. If I want to use 40, I'll use 20. It's not supposed to be. So you should use like a specific name or a significant name for each other. So as age is now, I can say age 2 and it will allow me because there's age here and there's another age. But this age now is different because I named them differently. Do you understand? And I can also do that for fruits. If I come here and say fruits, let's say banana, I get the same error because why? I can't name two things. I can't have two variables having the same name, holding two different items. It does not work. If I say it's two now, it allows me because yes, you can have two fruits with two different names and two different items. So this is why they use let and const because they are stricter than var. Now there's a way to it. Let's see. So this let now, why or the way it comes in is for const, you can use const for a function. And you don't know what a function is now, but I'll illustrate it to you guys. So let's say const add 2 is equals to, so this is the arrow function. Just don't pay note to what's happening here. but I'll explain it to you later on. So there's like, let's say A and B, and what we are doing here, we are returning A plus B. So this is a function that has two letters or two numbers rather. But these items, they are like properties that we're allowing in. I'll go into this deeper, but just for illustration purpose. Ideally, this is how it's supposed to name or hold your variables or your functions using the const, because under no condition should you change this function again. So it's a constant function. It's always going to be adding 2. Do you understand? You can't come and say const add 2 again. No, it won't work. It practically won't work because you have only this and it's constant. It doesn't change. Do you understand me? Now, if you're using let's change. You can change the value in let's basically. Like you can manipulate it, you can add it. It will still hold the same value of age, but you can say let age be 20. Let's now you're saying okay, the starting age, or for now, this age will be 20. If I go further in my code, I can change it to 50 or to 100. It will still hold the name, age, but the value can change. But for const, it does not give you chance to change the value again. If fruit is holding apple, then it's apple. You can't say tomorrow fruit is banana again. No, fruit is constant, and it goes a long way saying, okay, this fruit now is going to be apple, and apple it will be throughout the code. Now you can manipulate it, changing it dynamically, but it won't be like age. So age more or less is like, okay, this is a temporary number or a temporary holder. I can choose to change the value, and I'll show us examples illustrating this further on. But I want to tell us the 3 types of variable declaration and how they work. So var is a very weak declaration, and you can manipulate the values without getting error. Now let and const are stricter because if you can hold values and it will allow you place another value holding that name. So if you have age 20, you can't have another age of 40 or 50. You must change the name. Do you understand? For const is like constant. So this fruit is going to be apple and it's constant. Even though you want to change it, you can't specifically do that. Do you understand? Because you have said, okay, this is constant and it's going to hold it constantly. Do you get? Now, there are ways to name your variable. You can't just say, okay, you can't name it anyhow. So I'll explain to us now. Imagine I have age 20, then I come here and say Nigeria. Let's say const Nigeria. If you see this, I mean, you get confused because what do you mean Nigeria is equal to 20? Like, what does it do? So if you are naming your variable, you have to put it in mind that you have to have like a name that shows significant meaning to what is holding. Like I have here now, name Adama. If you see Adama, you know that okay, this is a name. If I say car, Audi, let's change Audi now. Let's say purple. If you see car and the what's assigned is purple, you get confused because why is a car purple? Purple is a fruit. It's not supposed to be assigned to a car. Do you understand? So if you are naming your variable, you have to put it in the back of your mind that you are naming your variable to what it does. Do you understand? So name should hold name, car should hold car, key should hold key, fruit should hold fruit. Anything you are naming it should have like a significant meaning to what you're holding. I don't know if you understand. So also, the other thing you can do is that what I mean is to use descriptive name. Let me put it up here. How to name your variables. In case you want to come back to the code variables. So first one is to use descriptive code, descriptive name. I'm starting too fast and please correcting this. Descriptive. Yes. Use descriptive names. Then the second one is to start with a letter, underscore, or a dollar sign. Now, most at times, most at times is you most likely see names like this. You understand? You can say, let's say, var, and let's say school is equals to zoo. This works. You can absolutely name your variables like this. It works perfectly fine. Do you understand? You can use underscore, you can use letter, and you can use dollar sign. I can come and say var, then I'll use dollar sign. And let's say comfy equals Ghana. So you can use like a letter to name your variable. You can use underscore. You can start with underscore to name your variable, and you can also start with a dollar sign. So specifically, you can use these three ways. But ideally, what you see outside the most is just this name. So you can say name, car name. People don't usually use this underscore and dollar sign. Dollar sign sometimes if people are using jQuery, and jQuery is a framework in JavaScript, but you won't see it as much as you see these normal names. So let's see, number two is if you can use underscore dollar sign and letters. So our third way, you can name it with like the camel casing. So for instance, now let's say you have a function, let's say 3. You have a function that, yes. So as I was saying, the third way is to use the camel casing or multi-word naming. So for instance, now I'll illustrate that to us. You can say var age of person is 30. So what I've done now is, if you notice, there are 3 different words here. You have age, you have up, and you have person. But I've merged them into one. So it's called a camel case because at the start of a new word, you use the capital letter. But in the beginning, there's a small letter. So let's say var again. You start the small letter, name, then continue with the capital letter because you're starting a new word. Of, then let's say school, capital letter. So for every new word you start, you use a capital letter. Let's say GSS. Do you understand? So this is like what they call comment casing. So at the beginning of a new word, you're using capital letter. But as you start the word, you're using small letter. So let's say camel case for camel case for multi-word names. This should work. Yeah. So one thing you won't do if you're naming a variable, because it's what they call reserved names in JavaScript. They are names that you can't touch in JavaScript. Only if you want to perform a certain function. So you can't name your functions a certain stuff. So for instance, now let's illustrate it. Let's say var. If I say var and I say else, because no, let's use let because let's be more stricter. So let's say let's if equals to come. If you notice now, it's showing an error because it said variable declaration is not allowed in this location. Why? There are certain words you can use as name. You can't use the word const, let, var. So I can't say let const equals to, it will work. I can't say let var equals to, it will work. I can also say let else equals to, it will work because these words are reserved for certain situations. You can't use them to name your variables. Do you understand? So there are reserved keywords that you can use, and I'll give us an assignment as you pass that, for just so you know. So also what you do is you can't name your functions. Like let's say for instance, I want to say var first name is equals to Adama. This is not a valid way to name your functions. You can't give space like this. So you can't say let's first space name. No, what you've done is that you splitted the word. The right thing to do, who can correct me now? Who can correct me? Anybody? What's the right thing to do? Anybody?
Okay, let me try. It just name should start with capital letter.
Perfect. So you have to use the camel case
Use
here.
camel case. Yes, camel case.
Beautiful. So all you need to do is use the camel case. Then you, it's without error. And you can also say first dash name. It's not, you can't do this. You can't use dash to name your variable. It's not permitted.
Sorry, somebody is discussing a private life here. Please mute your mic. Who is that person discussing who sleep with some?
So yeah, we can't use dash while naming your variables. So it's either using camel case or you are doing this basically. So these are the do's and don'ts in naming variables. Do we get it? And furthermore, I'll discuss, and this is like the last thing we'll discuss before ending the class today. Then we'll continue tomorrow. So there's what they call variable scopes. There are 3 types of variable scopes. Let's put it here. Let's see variable scopes. Variable scopes are more or less like how you access your variable or how visible your variable is to other functions in your app. Do you understand? So for the first one is like block scope. So if you're using a block scope, or let's start from the top, so let's start from the global scope. So global scope basically are like scope that are declared outside functions. So everything declared now are called global scopes because every function our app has access to it. They are usually at the top of every function. Do you understand? I'll illustrate that to us now. So let's say we have let's say const global variable. Let's name it global variable. Global variable is equals to a global variable. So now this is a global variable, and I'll tell you why it is a global variable. Now we have a function. Let's say let's do a function. Cost my function is equals to, so let's say console.log global variable. I would have any console.log. If I check my console now, what I'll see is, or what I'm expected to see. Hold on, let me check if I have anything working. No, I don't. Okay. So let's go back. Let's refresh. Wait. Something is blocked. Let me comment all this out. And let's go again. Oh, sorry. Okay. Was it okay? So what we'll do now is to call this function. I didn't call it. So ordinarily, if you have a function, you have to call a function for it to run. It escaped my mind. I thought we were doing our normal naming. So what I did now is to call this function. So for this function to work, you have to call it. And this is how you call your function ordinarily. And that's why you notice it didn't pop on the console, but now it should. So yes, it popped on our console now. We have an global variable. So what it means is that I can use this anywhere in my app. I can come back here and let's say I use another let's say const second function, and I say it's equals to, now I do the same thing. I console.log it, and I call it again, second function. If you notice, we have two. So this is from the first line. Notice line 35 and it's from line 39. So we have line 35 here and from line 39 here. Now, this is a global variable because it's accessible to every constant in the app. And I'll make another illustration with the block variable. Now, as from the word name block, it means that you can't access this thing outside a particular block. That's where the name comes from, block variable. So you can't access the variable outside a particular block. So for instance, now let's do this. Let's do so I'll comment this to out. And I'll open this and I'll say let's x equals 10. And I'll close and see const y is equals to 20. And I'll console.log x plus y. Now, what do you expect to see on the console? We are supposed to see 30. If I'm correct, yes, we are seeing 30 now. So let's do something now. Let's pick this console.log and let's put it down. If we do this and let's check our console, you can see that nothing is being displayed. Instead, we have the error. X is not defined. But why? We have X here and we have Y here. Why is it not defined? Because it's outside a block. So ordinarily, you can't access a variable defined in a block outside the block. So you have to be inside for you to access it. If it's like this, it works perfectly. But if it's like this, then it doesn't work because it's blocks. You can't access it. Do you understand? Now, this is for the block variables. Let's say block variables. Block variables. And this is global variables. So I'm doing this in case you want to go back to the code, you can have something to go back. I'm typing so fast. Very good. Yes. So now this is the first, the second, and the last one is called a functional variable or a function scope. So for the function scope now is you define a variable to a particular function. Functional variables. Let's do it like this. So let's say we have where's our additional variable? I cleaned it. Let's do another variable for addition. So we have a function that adds two numbers. Must add two numbers is equals to takes A and B. Then this. So what we'll do is we return A plus B. Now, this is a function that returns two number. So let's say from here, let's say let A equals 0. And let's say let B equals 10. So we declared a function now. We declared a variable inside a function. Ordinarily, if you come and console log, let's say A here, or let's say A plus B. Since we have A and B here, let's check what we have in our console. Let's check. You can see A has already been declared here because it's running inside a block scope. And let's even remove it because it can't access the value. It has been declared, but it can't access the value. And the reason is because the value is inside a block, functional scope, and it's only acceptable or accessible or visible to everything inside that function. So if you want to use these two values, you have to use it inside this function. Any constant or any variable you declare here only has use inside. That's called a function variable, a function scope. It's only confined to that particular function. Do you understand? So let's comment this. Let's take it in now. Let's take this one in. And let's check what we have. Now, okay, now it's too deep. Let me don't overcomplicate it. Let me just remove this. Easy. So let's do this now. Let's check. X is not defined as. I'm still looking. Okay, let's remove this also. This was an error. Let's check again. Same. Add. Who can tell me what's missing? Who can tell me what's missing here? I made a mistake. Who can correct me? Or why it's not popping on our console here? Who knows
Not
why?
called the function.
Yeah,
You've
perfect.
not called the function.
Perfect. So I've not called the function. So for the function to work, you have to call it. So let's call add two numbers and let's check our function now. So we expect to see our number. Yes, our number is 10. So 0 plus 10 is equal to 10. Perfect. So with this now, explained what it means to be confined, for a scope to be global, for a scope to be blocked, and for a scope to be in a function. I'll just give us like an extra tip. So for instance, if you notice I added A and B. Now we use this, but if I can tell you tomorrow that okay, make a function that has two numbers. Now you don't know the two numbers the user is going to add. Like for a calculator task that they ask you guys to do. You don't know the number the user is going to press. Most definitely you don't know. Do you understand? And I just play a little game for us now. So I can say that okay, let's ask the user now alert. This alert keyword is used to prompt a user to, let me use prompt. Prompt is a word. So we have prompt, we have alert. These are like ways to interact with the user from JavaScript. So if I say alert now, let's test it. I'll say alert. You guys are awesome. What happens ordinarily is if I come to the browser now and I refresh, I get you guys are awesome automatically. Do you understand? Now, for prompts, if I say prompts now, what prompt does is it allows the user enters and inputs. Do you understand? So what I'm going to do now is let's get two numbers from the user and perform this function. And I say kindly pick a number. Then let's do this again and say, so if you want to know how I make this duplicate, you can use your shift alternate them down, it duplicates. There are small extension to VS Code sheets to make your work easier. Let's say kindly pick another number. Let's do it like this. So with this now, we are asking the user for two numbers. So let's go to our browser and see. So pick a number. Oh, let's make it perfect now. Let's just say these are numbers into variables. And these variables comes to play. So let's say const first number. First number is equal to this. So let's pick this. And let's say our second number. Let's change this to second number. Let's replace this. Let's replace this with this. Yes. So now we have a way to collect these numbers. Do you understand? And this is where variable comes in play. Because ordinarily, if you are collecting a number from a user, then you don't know where to put it. But with this now, if you said, okay, anything the user enters first, put it here. Anything the user enters second, put it here. So what do we do now? We'll say, okay, we'll tell the user too that, okay, let's alert the user that the number, let me use practice. I'll give you guys more explanation because what they call concatenation and what they call what's it called? More on that later. But for us to embed JavaScript into strings, you can say the first number, then we use your dollar sign, then use this, then put first number here. Then you say plus the second number. Then for each second number, you also do this. Then add second number. the second number is equals to is equal to is equal to have our first number plus second number. Minimize this. So now, once we collect the first number from the user and collect the second number from the user, what we'll do is we're adding the two numbers here. Do you understand? Then we're alerting the user. Okay, this number you entered, the second number is equal to this. So let's try it. Let's try it. Let me close this. Nice. So we have our, so pick a number. Let's pick 20. Okay. Then pick another number. Let's pick 30. And let's say okay. Now there's an error. I intentionally did this. And I want us to note, because JavaScript is all about debugging, basically. And for every time you do something, you have to debug. So can anybody note what's wrong with this code? Anybody? Can anybody note what's wrong with this code? Anybody? Can you look at it carefully and just tell me what am I doing wrong here? Anybody?
I think you have not spelled out the function to add the numbers, Abi. I don't know.
Perfect. Yeah. So two things now. What I did here is because if I'm calling a function too. Okay, let me transfer this. I'll explain it systematically. So let's use console.log here. Console.log. I'll come back to using the add two numbers. So what we have now, it should work ordinarily. So let me pop it open, and I'll pop our. Let me refresh. Cancel. Yes. So these are our fresh code now. So let's pick 20 again. Let's pick 30. So the first number, the first 20 plus second number 20 is equals to. Oh, I made a mistake again. I'm going to deep. Okay, let's make multiply. Because what I did was concatenation, and I don't want to go too deep because
Exactly.
these are steps that I'll take from top to bottom. I don't want to go inside and come outside. Everything you're seeing here, I'll explain to you. But I don't want to make you guys understand what variables and variable name is. These extra ones are like over the top. I'll come back to it when we start fixing strings, number, type conversion, type correction. I'll talk about all this. But for now, I want to make us understand what it means to name a variable inside the function and after the function and global scope. But for now, let's just take out this as we started it already. So let's go again. So we have a number, let's say 30, and second number is, let's say 4. I say 18. So what we have now basically is 30 and 4. If we multiply two of them, because we're having a multiplication tag here. So it's giving us 30 minus 4. 30 times 4, which is 120. Now to do this bid, let's remove all this one out now. To use this particular function now, we have to introduce two numbers to it because our function is accepting two variables or two properties, the A and the B. It doesn't know what A is going to be or what B is going to be, but we need to add it. So as we're calling our functions here, let me use console.log and call it into. So we have add number, and we're calling it with two numbers. So we are calling it with 30 and 50. Ideally, this is supposed to give us 80 if we run our code because 30 here represents A and 50 here represents B. So once it gets the 30 and it gets the 50, what it does is to add 30 to 50. So if you check our console, we see 80 there. So let's see what we have. Perfect. We have our 80. Tomorrow, I would explain further what I was trying to do here. But I'll leave this code here. So we'll continue from it tomorrow. But I don't want to go too deep and confuse us. So today we've discussed what JavaScript is. We've discussed the versions of JavaScript. We've discussed how to run JavaScript. We've also discussed how to name your variables, the difference between var, let, and const, and also different variable scopes. The global scope is accessible to every function. Then we have the block scope, which can be only used in a block, and the function scope, which are only accessible to functions or to attributes in the functions. So tomorrow, by God's grace, may God spare our life, we'll discuss more on our topic tomorrow will be data types. So we have the number, the string, undefined, null, symbol, boolean. We also talk about objects, array, and functions. Then if we have time, we'll discuss about value comparison operators, which is what I was trying to do here. Type correction, type conversion. We'll talk about all those tomorrow by God's grace. But for now, let's take this. You watch the video if you can, then try and ruminate on what we discussed. And one advice for you guys is you don't learn this thing like on the stretch. You might be Superman and get it at first go, but most of the times you have to like revisit it, redo it, make sure that you are practicing it constantly before it sticks to your head. Do you understand? So don't just watch this video or attend this class and leave it till the next class, then come again. No, maybe in the evening if you are free and are like chill, you are relaxed, watch the video and check what I've done, check things you can do on yourself, try to manipulate, try to name your variables. Just do things you feel you can do to make stuff easy. Do you So my network logged me out. Are you guys still here?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, my network logged me out for a while. So what I was trying to say is you guys should still go back to the video, try to approach it your own way, try to read more on concepts you don't understand. If you have any questions to ask, you can pop it in the group chat or in the channel. I'll do my best to explain. I'll drop the link to my code base now so you guys can visit it and do what you need to do. Also follow me on GitHub. I'll drop my GitHub and follow me, start the repo. So continue from here tomorrow. Any questions? Ask you guys what we've done so far. Anybody has any questions to ask?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, sure, brother.
Okay, thank you very much for this first class on JS. Now, the question I have is this. For the different types of is it like that a variable const and a let?
Yes.
You said that ideally we for JavaScript they use the const and then the let because of the issues that var has. So for are they what if I one can one decide to just stick to one alone without the other, like okay, I stick to const alone, or I just stick to let alone? Or are there particular occasions where okay, this particular instance const fits this one more, this particular instance let fit this one more?
Okay. Yes. So I gave like a brief explanation earlier. So I'll say it over again here. It's not advisable to use var. VAR was introduced like on the first basis, and over time it became very weak because there's no hold. It's easy to manipulate values with VAR, which is not supposed to be if you are coding, because you can introduce bugs that you're not aware of. But in the case of let and const, so const from the word is for like constant. Constant are used to assign variables that you know are not changing over time. So let's say, for instance, you are building a website, and you know that this website, there's a particular value in this website that's not going to change. It's constant. Nothing is making it change. You're using const for that. Do you understand? Like your name now. I know your name. Let's assume your name is Abel. So I can see Abel on my screen here. So for the longest of time, I'm sure your name will be Abel until maybe you want to change your name by yourself, which most of the times is not like what happens regularly. It's the name you are giving birth to that most of us use to retire. The name is constant. So regardless of what's happening, const name is equal to Abel. It's not changing. Now for let has its own use cases. Let is stricter than var because you can't reassign values assigned to it before. So you can't say let age equals 20 and you come back and say let age again equals 2. No, it's not going to work. Do you understand? Now, let also can hold number temporarily. Do you understand? You can just say let age and that's all. You can't you might not even assign to a value because you know that furthermore you're going to assign this age to something else. So I can just come and say let age. And once it's equal to anything, I'll say let age, and that's all. What I've done is I've initialized age, and I'm telling JavaScript that okay, this age will help me keep it, help me hold it. I'm coming back to put a number to it. But for now, I don't know what the number is, but help me hold it. Do you understand? So that's the kind of cases you use let. There are many times, especially type of performing a loop, it's something they call a loop, a if loop, a for loop, a for each loop. And if you are doing that, most of the times you are using let because this variable is going to change over time. I don't know what it's going to change to, but it's going to change. For that reason, let it be like this. For the main time, once I'm sure this will be the final value, then okay, I say okay, this is final value. But for now, let it be like this. So let is more or less like an initializer, just initialize the value. But const is more stricter and it's constant. It's not changing for anything. Do you understand? I try to simplify the explanation. You should understand. If you don't, I can still go right to you. Thank you, nice.
No, I'm fine. That's fine. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions? One more question before end the class.
So good morning, sir.
Yeah, today.
So how many lectures have you done today? Because I missed the first lecture. I thought it will be in the evening, and when I saw a notification must application, then I realized lecture. So I don't know if you have already uploaded the video on YouTube or perhaps
Yes,
it will be after.
would update, we'll upload the video. This is my first JavaScript lecture, and this is the first one I'm having today. I'll be having another one
Okay, so
tomorrow. Then also we'll have
so
another Tuesday, Wednesday, and
so the
Thursday.
video is already on YouTube.
No, it should be on YouTube after the class.
Okay. So thank you so much. That was my question today.
No problem. So you guys should take care. If you have any questions, you can pop it on the channel. I'll do my best to answer. I'll make available this replay and the notes I used.
I think there is a class this evening.
For JavaScript.
I saw something I received a mail. Is it set up or something like that?
Setting up.
You said?
It's not for Java class. It's just for
Setting up.
general class.
There's Java and there's JavaScript.
Okay.
You don't interchange them.
All right.
There's Java, which is the language, and there's no JavaScript. So it causes confusion sometimes, but there's Java and JavaScript. But that's by the way. So you guys should take care of yourselves and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
All right, take care.